Michigan Magazine is kept on the road by our many Michigan friends. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. Thunder Bay Resort, a destination for all seasons with special events and packages. Thunder Bay Resort in Hillman. Planning your special day? Canyons Resort on beautiful Sage Lake can make it happen. Enjoy a beachfront wedding. Everything in one location. Food, beverage, lodging, and entertainment. Canyons handles everything from floral arrangements to the wedding cake. Call now to reserve your special day at Canyons. Coming up in this week's Michigan Magazine, we're on the road again, getting ready for our filming of our first Uncle Cliff's Kitchen. And we're spreading the news about how you can become a part of this new cooking show as a member of our studio audience. Also on the show, we talk with Country Music Hall of Fame member, Grand Ole Opry star Little Jimmy Dickens, as he reminisces with us about his days in Michigan. He's also got some sage words of advice for the up-and-coming artists of today. Listen up, because Jimmy's been entertaining since the 1940s and is still on stage and on the radio, hosting the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. But first, we visit with an amazing Michigan author, Leigh Arrathoon, whose Jody's Michigan Adventure book series has been entertaining and encouraging young readers for years. Stay tuned, it's all coming up on this week's Michigan Magazine. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare, what began as a crazy idea among 9 police officers to purchase the historic Clare City Bakery quickly became an international phenomenon, carrying on a Michigan tradition with delicious donuts, pies, pastries, breads, original coffee, and more, plus a full menu at the new adjacent Traffic Stop Diner. Downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. Hingeman Acres Canoe Livery and Resort on M33 just north of Mayo, catering to the outdoor enthusiasts. Cabins, canoes, kayaks, rafts, and more. Daytime or overnight trips along the world-famous Oscoda River. A family getaway for over 75 years. The history and heritage of Michigan is fascinating, not only for adults, but now children will enjoy the wonders of Michigan's past thanks to a series of books written by Michigan authors Leigh Arrathoon and John Davio. The series features the Michigan travels of the Murphy family, Katie, Kevin, Mike, and Mary, along with Katie's toy mouse, Jody. The series is called Great Places, Jody's Michigan Adventures. In the series of 7 books, small readers are whisked away to Holland, Michigan, Frankenmuth, Detroit, Greenfield Village, Michigan's Northwest, the Upper Peninsula, and Mackinac Island. With the help of Jody, the toy mouse, and brightly colored illustrations, Michigan and history come alive and enjoyable. It was with pleasure that we made plans to visit the home base of author Leigh Arrathoon of Paint Creek Press in Rochester, Michigan. Here, which is also her home, we arrived one early fall morning, curious to learn of this wonderful series of books and what drew Leigh, who also has a Ph.D. in French medieval literature from Princeton University, into writing children's books. Leigh, it's a pleasure meeting you. Good morning.
Pleasure to meet you too.
I must say you have a definite love for the state of Michigan, don't you?
Yes, I do. I think this is a beautiful state.
And you wanted to kind of get the younger generation into it and publish a series of kind of children's book. But you know, I have to admit that I had a good time reading some of those too. I mean, it's fun reading. Tell us a little bit about the Jody series, the Great Places in Michigan series, and how it all came about.
Well, actually, my partner suggested the storyline. You know, he wanted a family of 4 people, and he wanted the little girl to collect puppets or toys, and then I kind of took it from there, and I wrote stories about this Michigan family that visits all over the state, and the little boy wants to be in a story when he grows up, so he writes the stories, and then he has his little sister Katie, and she collects stuffed animals, and she's very imaginative, so she wants him to fold in all the things her stuffed animals do and say into his stories, and of course he thinks that's stupid, but he makes her pay him candy and stuff like that, and he does it for her. So he's really supposed to be the author of all these books.
I see, and Jody is something that we can all relate to, perhaps, and in our childhood is something we can relate to.
Well, he's a magical mouse, and she buys him in Holland, which is the first book in the series.
That's the first book in the series, the Holland.
Okay. Yeah, the Holland book.
And that's where she acquires. Oh, I can see the Dutch hat and the
Yeah,
garb,
that's why
yes,
he has
yes.
the Dutch hat and Dutch scarf and everything.
Oh my goodness! Now you must have a love for writing. I mean, this isn't your first project you've ever did.
No.
Tell us a little bit about your background, Leigh.
I started writing when I was 6 years old, and then let's see, I wrote academic books for a long time. I got my PhD and I wrote stuff on Chaucer and stuff on romance fiction and articles. And then I really wanted to do fictional stuff, and we started out with a little magazine called the South Hill Gazette that we published and we put out here in Rochester, and I wrote a short story for that every week. And then after that we did some advertising projects, and then we came back to the writing, and we thought we'd do this, and it was my partner who suggested we do the books. And so we did these books. Last year was the first time we published all 7 of these. These came out and I've sold about 20,000 of them.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty good for a small press.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's an impressive thing you're doing here. You're also giving the children something to read on the way to these places, too. I mean, it's it gets them prepped for their visit to a lot of different places in the state of Michigan. Why did you eventually just have 7? Is there more coming up? I mean, there's a lot of places in Michigan. How did you kind of boil it down to these 7 places in the state of Michigan? Just for something to begin with?
Oh, we picked the places we thought most people went to begin. And then, of course, since I've had them out, everybody said, oh, why don't you write about Lansing? Why don't you write about this? And Lansing would be a good one. But what I just did was the Anishinaabe and the Voyageurs, which are the Ojibwe Indians and the French fur traders. And that book is 96 pages long, and that one's for older kids. It's for 8th grade. And I really like that book a lot because I got to write in my own vocabulary, and I didn't have to, chip it down and, work on the style the way I have with this one.
But I see you got this, it's kind of a complete program, too, when you introduce the children or the people to this. I understand you go to classrooms and do presentations with some of the characters. Introduce us to some of our friends here, if you could.
Okay. What we decided to do is I took the Detroit book because the Detroit book had the best definition of characters in it. It had this character, here he is, too.
There he is. Okay.
Yeah. This is Gilbert the Frog, and he's egomaniacal. In other words, he everything is for him. So he slurps his soup. He steals a little boy's kite, and he goes for a ride on the kite and crashes it into a tree. He gets in the cage at the zoo, and he jeers at the monkeys, and they string him up by his suspenders because they get really mad at him. And he falls into the punch bowl with the wrens, and he gets into all kinds of trouble. And so we took him, and I wrote an after Detroit play. And in that play, he and the mouse get into this terrible argument about why the mouse should be so good and why the frog is so bad. And finally the author steps in and she says, well, you have to have that in every novel you write. There has to be a good character and a bad character. Because otherwise people will be very bored, especially if it were all good. And so that is what happens in the frame story of all of these, is there's a good character and a bad character, and there's some kind of plot going on. And then there are, of course, folded in all the facts about the various places, and that's what the little boy does. He does that boring part, the history, that kids don't like. And because I'm a teacher, I wrote something that I thought kids would really get interested in.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where do you get your input? How do you put yourself into a situation where you can relate to the children like this?
Well, because I've taught 4th grade. I don't now. Now I teach French to adults, but for a long time I taught 4th grade, and I just know that kids hate, I know from my own experience that I hated social studies, and I ended up being a major in history of literature, so, it's just because it was presented differently. And so I felt that if presented this history differently, kids would really like it.
So what do you think the kids will be getting out of this? A bit of the history and entertained at the same time?
You should get a lot of history out of it. There really is quite a lot in each story. In Detroit, they should learn all about how the auto barons built the city and why it can exist as a big city. And they learn about the various places to go. In Holland, they learn about the people who came to Holland, the Dutch people, and how they chased the Indians away because the Indians left their corn growing in the fields and then went out to hunt. And while they were hunting, the Dutch said, "Oh, how nice! They've abandoned all this corn," and they ate it. And the Indians came back and they were furious because they were going to mix all this stuff together. But the Indians are such nice people, really. They didn't kill any Dutch off or anything. They just moved away. These foreigners are pests.
Can't live with them, leave them.
Yeah, that's right. And they did the same thing in Frankenmuth. They had a lot of, they had a lot of Indians in Frankenmuth, and they left too.
Who did the wonderful illustrations in these?
Let's see, there are two artists.
Oh, there are two artists, more than one.
This one is Jeannie Morris, and she's from Romeo.
Okay.
And Ken Hydilla took over for her. And he's from Dearborn, Michigan, and he designs cars for a living.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so his drawing is very precise whenever there are vehicles or anything. It's yeah.
Oh, that's a good input. So pretty much it's a Michigan project.
Yes.
But it's a team project in a sense, too.
I write them, and then my partner and I agree on, whether they're going to be, that topic's going to sell, and, is it going to be good. And then he edits it. We send it out to other people to edit. Like right now, this book I just did went to Nokomis and to a teacher who's head of a social studies program to review. And then he designs the book, which is in itself, a whole, you could have a job just being a designer. And so he designs the books, and he gets them ready for press, and then they get sent to press. And then, and I forgot the artist. In the meanwhile, it takes many months to do the drawings, right?
It was a pleasure sharing the morning with Leigh at Paint Creek Press, learning about Jody's Michigan adventures and the other projects being developed. One on Henry Ford, one on the Wright brothers, one in Motown, one on the Ojibwe and French fur traders, and one on the California missions and Esselen Indians. Leigh told us that her intention is to branch out with stories in other parts of the U.S. Leigh's currently doing all the writing, but hope is to have other authors brought into the projects. When Leigh isn't writing for Paint Creek Press, she's teaching French for Rochester and Richmond, and gives private French classes, and also teaches French to executives who are going overseas. It was interesting to note that Leigh has lived in other parts of the world, but always finds herself back in her home state of Michigan, and we certainly are the better for it. We urge everyone to be on the lookout for Jody's Michigan adventures at your favorite bookstores, and a big thanks to Leigh and Paint Creek Press for sharing their work with Michigan Magazine. Michigan Magazine is being brought to you in part by
Thunder Bay Resort.
Experience the beauty, artistry, and taste of Northern Michigan. Come to Amish Country Natural Products on Mount Tom Road, north of Mile, just off M33. From arts and crafts to fresh foods and vegetables, all natural, all local, all good. Stop by and get acquainted with Amish Country Natural Products, 1454 North Mount Tom Road, Mile. Remembering good times and great food, Frank and Lisa invite you to Tin Lizzie's in Mile for a blast back to the 50s and 60s when food was made from scratch, including home-ground Angus burgers. A full menu of great food and good memories await you at the new Tin Lizzie's of Mile. Hale Hardware, your do-it-center in Hale, Michigan. Much more than a regular hardware store, providing everything you need for whatever your project is, along with a knowledgeable sales staff to get her done. Serving Northern Michigan since 1946. Hale Hardware, south of M65 at Ainsley in Hale.
Tell you what, we can't let you go because we know what comes out of that kitchen sometimes. And we've got Uncle Cliff's kitchen. Uncle Cliff, come on over here. Here comes Cliff. Here's one of our producers and cameraman and jack of all trades. And we're going to get him behind the camera, and we're going to do Uncle Cliff's kitchen. We're going to be traveling around the state, and of course we'll be featured at our Michigan Magazine Museum, which is now the Event Center. And how's Roxanne going to be involved in this, Cliff?
Well, her and Kathy from Clemix out there, they're going to work together. One is going to do breads and pretzels, and I believe the other one is going to do some kind of surprise desserts for us.
So this is going to be a debut for you, is it, Roxanne?
Yes, it will.
For a cook show?
Yes, it will.
So what have you got up your sleeve, or do you know yet what's going to be cooking at Cliff's Kitchen?
Well, it'll be Italian. That's
Okay.
all I know.
Well, you can't beat that.
No. So we'll be looking forward to that. And if anybody wants tickets or wants to become involved in the audience, they can get a hold of us at Michigan Magazine at iWatchMichiganMagazine@gmail.com. So we appreciate what you're doing here, Roxanne.
Thank you.
And you too, Cliff. I mean,
Thanks.
you got some surprises coming up.
Oh, we got a lot of surprises.
Yeah, always surprises. So.
And thank you for supporting Michigan companies,
We appreciate that.
businesses. It's wonderful, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll see you in the kitchen, Roxanne.
Okay.
I was in radio for years before television, of course. I started with Casey Clark, one of the acts and one of the people responsible for this place, and that plays here all the time. And everybody in Michigan knows Casey Clark. He's also in the Michigan Hall of Fame, and we've been friends since I was a kid. And I started out in a band that he was with there at Beckley, West Virginia, in about 1939, I think it was, and I was still in high school. And I went from there cross country. I went to Fairmont, West Virginia, and I was there in 1940, and then I went to WIBC in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I was there all during World War II on the radio twice a day, every day, 6 days a week, and then I moved from there to WLW in Cincinnati, and from there to Topeka, Kansas, and from Topeka, Kansas to Saginaw. And I really think that my year or so that I spent in Saginaw, Michigan was one of the most pleasant years that I ever spent in radio before I went to the Grand Ole Opry. Well, I learned early from my friend T. Texas Tyler. He was a great entertainer and a great performer. And he was one of the most humble people that I've ever known. Yet he was a great showman on the stage. He taught me, we worked together during World War II in Indianapolis, and he taught me to be nice to people. And first and foremost, you're nice to the people that come to see you. And never look on those people as a fan. Look at them as a friend that's come to help you out. They don't have to be there, you know. And I've always kept that in mind. And then when I went to the Grand Ole Opry, Mr. Acuff was my advisor for the first year that I was there, and taught me the do's and the don'ts that you do at the Grand Ole Opry. And so by doing that, I made a lot of friends there. The announcers were my friends, and all the entertainers were my friends, and that helps in the business. You be nice to the people that you work with, and they'll be nice to you.
Amen. Let's give a big hand to Little Jimmy Dickens.
Rose Valley Winery on Beechwood Road in Rose City. See what thousands are raving about, creating a delicious variety of award-winning Michigan wines. Stop by and taste for yourself. The taste of Michigan is yours at Rose Valley Winery. Have fun with your photos at Rose City Drug. In the photo department, get fast processing and have fun by creating unique digital photo gifts on site or online. Save those precious memories at Rose City Drug, 2640 North M33 Rose City, or online. Clemix Sales and Service on Mapes Road, west of Mile, your complete recreational vehicle sales and service connection. Visit their beautiful showroom of new and pre-owned ATVs, lawnmowers, power equipment, snowmobiles, utility vehicles, and more. Clemix Sales and Service is also the home of the American-made Victory motorcycle line on display at Clemix on Mapes Road, Mile. Thanks for joining us on Michigan Magazine. Now here's the phrase of the day, which is also a Michigan farming fact, and that is, Michigan has over 56,000 operating farms. Jot that phrase down and send it to us, along with your town and state, to our email address at iwatchmichiganmagazine@gmail.com, or on a card or in a letter to Michigan Magazine TV, P.O. Box 424, West Branch, Michigan 48661. You'll then be entered in our 25th anniversary Michigan Vacation Giveaway. You'll have the chance to enjoy a unique getaway or receive some wonderful Michigan products from some of our underwriters. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Michigan Magazine. We'd like to thank all those that help keep Michigan Magazine on the road. Thunder Bay Resort, a destination for all seasons with special events and packages. Thunder Bay Resort in Hillman. Cops and Donuts Bakery, downtown Clare, a winning combination. Cops and Donuts. The Michigan-made rebounding mailbox pole. Never again worry about the winter snowplow taking out your mailbox with this ingenious rebounding pole. Your mailbox takes a hit and keeps coming back year after year. Call now or visit their website, toughmailboxes.com.
Vacation. Don't make the planning of it more than what you're trying to get away from. At northernmichigancabinrentals.com, you can choose from over 2,500 cabins, cottages, lodges, resorts, lakefront vacation home rentals, and more. Whatever experience you're looking for, from rustic to luxury and everything in between. No more rustling with telephone books. No more endless internet searches. Just one site with over 2,500 Northern Michigan destinations. northernmichigancabinrentals.com.
Borch Healthcare of Rose City and West Branch, skilled nursing and rehabilitation facilities in beautiful northern Michigan. The Rose City facility is a leader in dementia care, specializing in the treatment and care for those with Alzheimer's. For more information or to schedule a tour, call us now.
Emerald Productions is a Michigan video company that provides its services for weddings, special events, documentaries, and more. Give us a call at 248-417-0030 and check out our website at memraproductions.com.